Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and today we're going to make 9 cards, 9 using the quick and easy card kit from Spellbinders. It is $29.50, which is a rockin' bargain, but I'm just showing you real quick some of the other kits. You guys, I made those cards. Those pomegranates, I didn't think I would love that as much as I do, and I can't. Anyway, the Spellbinders kits are a rockin' deal, and there's now a Better Press kit of the month. It's free shipping. They have lots of like combine things and get a bigger bargain. It's amazing. So I'm going to link everything below. But let's make some cards. So this one has a piece that is a 1/2 inch by 3 inches. This little piece right here is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. I have some cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have a piece of pattern paper that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then this is a fun fold. So this pink piece is 3 by 5, and we're going to score this. Okay, the white piece is really just to remind me where we're scoring. We're going to turn it the long way, and we're going to score at 4 and then at 4 3/4. I'm going to fold on both of those score lines as mountain folds, and then we will set that piece aside. Okay, so I have another piece of cardstock, this blue piece. And again, I have a white one just to remind me of measurements and things. This is 4 1/4 by 4 inches. So I'm going to put it in my scoreboard, scoring along the 4-inch side. So I'm scoring at 1/4 inch, 1 inch, 3 inches, and 3 3/4 inches. We're making a bunch of emergency cards today. We're using the Spellbinders kit. I really enjoyed this kit, but the goal here is to teach you some cards and techniques and things that you can use with the supplies that you already have. Okay, so if you're like, I'm not interested in a kit, I'm not going to do that, that's okay. You can still make some awesome cards doing really similar things. Okay, so I am gluing down my pattern paper to my A2 card panel. Okay, it is not a full folding card, it's just a panel. Then this blue piece, I folded along all the score lines as mountain folds, and I'm putting glue on one of the thin tabs on the end. And I'm going to line it up so that that score line, that fold lines up right along. This is actually the bottom of the card. Okay, so I'm pressing, I'm checking, making sure everything is stuck down. Now I'm going to fold on the second score line. It's the second one. And I'm going to add glue to the short little tab. And I'm going to fold this up. I've kept it folded at the second score line, and I'm folding, right? So that's the bottom of my card, and I'm going to press that flat. What this is going to do is create a box on the front of our card that will also fold up flat so it fits in the envelope. Next, this piece is going to have a little piece of pattern paper that goes on the front, and it will have an equal margin on all 4 sides when you consider the top side is a score line. Okay, so here it is. I'm just gluing it on with my wet glue. That is going to glue flat onto my blue box on the front of my card. So I'm making sure to add glue only where that pink piece is overlapping the front of the box. Then you can see that will kind of fold up flat. Well, I got to make sure that this top piece does too, and it's going to curve around. So what I'm going to do is put glue on that little tab, and then I'm going to fold on the second score line. So it's sort of folded in half, flat. And then I will take the bottom of the box and squish that all the way up, flat. And then I will press so that when I'm attaching this piece, the whole card is folded flat. That way I make sure it's going to fit in my envelope later. This is a really common sort of structure. If you're on Pinterest and you look for fun fold cards, you'll see stuff like this. And I thought this would be awesome for an emergency card. Okay, the emergency card kit playlist will be linked in the description below, and I'll try to link it at the end of the video too. I'm adding some ephemera to the front, but I want to point out that that pattern paper is the same size as the rectangular sentiment that we've been using, that 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm using a circle sentiment, again, also included in our emergency kits, but this has options. You've got all kinds of options. We will bring this up in another video soon, I think, because I love this as a quick emergency card option that's really easy. Anyway, let me know if you would like a printable that has like the measurements for this card, because I can do that too. I am taking one of the chipboard sentiments, and I think this one says, "It's your day." I'm adding a little extra glue, and I added it onto this pink strip of cardstock. It's actually just the strip that I cut off the piece we used for that pink panel on the front. And I'm going to let it kind of hang out here on the side. I wanted an equal margin on all four sides of that chipboard piece, and then I'll just trim that off with my scissors. Okay, and that just needs a sentiment. So I am using, this is from the kit that came out at the beginning of July, the favorites kit. I would use this month's kit, but it's Christmas, which doesn't fit the theme of the Spellbinders kit. So I'm using temporary adhesive to add the big birthday wishes. And then you can see how this folds so beautifully into an envelope. It's so much fun, right? It will stand up on its own. I will just write my personal message on the back, but you could attach the whole thing if you wanted to a standard card base. I have cut this little pink piece from the Essential Floral Reflections dies from Spellbinders. I have pattern paper at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. In this video, I'm using a handful of sort of basic shapes from Spellbinders, and I was pleasantly surprised. If you're watching this video kind of right around when it gets posted, Spellbinders is having a rockin' sale right now. They have a ton of dies at 40% off, including that Essential Floral Reflections, the diamonds, the arches, and then a ton of my other favorite dies. So I will link everything below, and then just a link to the sale. They are affiliate links. When you guys use my links, it doesn't cost you anything, and Spellbinders pays me part of that sale, and it is an incredible way for you to support my channel. Somebody else pays me then, and I get to make more free content, which is amazing, and I get to buy more dies and things to use in videos for you. Anyway, I will also link to a post where I walk through my favorites from that sale. I am gluing that circle, the 2-inch circle for our sentiment, right into the middle of that floral reflection die. I love how it frames that out. And then just a handful of florals around the side. There are tons of these sort of watercolory florals, and then a bunch of them have foil details. They're so pretty. And it was really, really quick. Like, that is a card you could mass produce if you wanted. Okay, here are the diamonds. I cut 3 of them from some heavyweight white cardstock from my stash using the largest die. And then the patterned paper I cut using a die 1 size smaller. So this is going to leave just a little white border all the way around. And I'm making sure to get my glue all the way to the edges. We're going to make a shaker, and I want to make sure my sequins can't end up kind of like underneath the pattern paper. This is some of the packaging from the kit, and there's a hole in the middle of it. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not going to have a hole in my shaker, and I'm going to cut around the packaging. We're going to make a flat front shaker shape card. It's surprisingly easy. I am using some double-sided tape. There is double-sided tape in the kit, but I'll be honest, if I'm going to make a shaker, I'm going to bust out the strongest tape I have. So this is score tape, and I've just added it along all 4 sides. I'm going to lay that on top of my acetate, and I'm going to remove the backing paper from 2 sides of my double-sided tape. I folded this so it's pretty snug. I could have gone a little bit looser and it would shake better. You want it, I don't know, to fit along the diamond, but the tighter you have it, right, then the tighter it's pressing against your sequins on the front. So, you know, make sure you got room for your sequins. I'm going to remove that 3rd side, and I'm just clipping where the corners are a little bit, not all the way, but it removes a little bit of the bulk for when we go to add this to our actual card. Then I'm going to dump my sequins all over my desk, because that's the kind of day we were having, you guys. In the middle of this video, my boys came in from outside screaming bloody murder. I thought somebody had broken a bone, but no. That's just how they love each other. And that's the day we were having. I can't even remember which card it was, but I jumped half a foot. So if you see me at some point throw something across my desk, it's because kids. Once I got my sequins into my shaker pouch, I removed the last side of the release paper and added just a touch of extra right in the corners. And I folded that last side over, and then I'm going to trim the corners one more time. And we have a diamond shaped shaker. To finish off the front of our card, the shaker panel, I'm going to adhere this to another diamond of the same size. I'm using Nuvo Deluxe adhesive just because it grabs a little faster than my Barely Art glue, but you could use double-sided tape. I just thought the wet glue was nice to give me a little more wiggle room. Then I'm going to take the third diamond, okay? And I'm just using a piece of scrap paper to kind of make sure I'm going to get this diamond in there straight. I want both corners of the diamond to end up on the same score line, so that when I score this little piece at the top, I scored it a ½ inch, but honestly 3/4 of an inch would have been better. That way I know it's straight and I don't have a card that's opening up kind of at an angle. I'm adding glue just to that little tab, and it's pretty small. Again, I would score maybe at 3/4 of an inch if I did this again. And I'm gonna add that to our shaker panel, right? So now I have a front of my card that's a shaker and the back of my card that's just a diamond, and it has a little hinge right there at the top. I'm adding 3 of my flowers. I'm obsessed with these flowers. I promise we'll use some other pieces from the kit pretty soon. I'm going to put those kind of down at the corner, and then I'm going to put this circle towards the top, and they can overhang. This diamond, the largest one in the set, does fit into an A2 card corner to corner. I'm adding huge hugs here as my sentiment. Again, that's from the favorites kit. I'll link the favorites kit separate from the entire playlist so that it's easy to find, because it's got all of the occasions in it. You can see how this opens up, but I'm going to hold this up to an envelope. What I love about this is that if you turn the diamond sideways, you can actually have quite a bit of overhang. And I think that's really fun as a card design. Okay, I have a piece of pattern paper that's 2 inches by 6 inches. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have a piece of solid colored cardstock that is A2, so that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and an A2 card base. The next 2 cards are from Call Me Crafty Al's sheetload of cards for August 2023. I know a lot of you already follow her channel, but if you do not, she is lovely. On the first of every month, she comes out with a card sketch that is this incredible guide to make a bunch of cards pretty quickly. So she'll give you a cutting guide for like a 12 by 12 or a couple 12 by 12 pieces of paper to make 8 of the same card or 12 of the same card. It kind of depends on the sketch. So I have modified it so that I can make it using the contents of the kit. I didn't have enough solid colored cardstock to put a whole like solid colored panel behind that blue strip. So instead, I just put 2 1/8-inch strips of cardstock along that edge. I don't know what it is about this card design, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, I got to make all kinds of cards with that. In fact, I might have a video later this month where I just play with that sketch. I will link to her August sheetload of cards. I have to laugh every time I say it. I just love it. I will link to that below with the other videos that are in there. Please, please check her out. I think she does wonderful, wonderful work, and it's free. It's a free printable. Okay, so I am trimming off just the very bottom of that ice cream popsicle, whatever, because it was going to overhang my A2 card. And then I'm going to add this whole thing to my card base. And I love this. I just love this. I'm going to add a little heart to my popsicle. This is a chipboard sticker, but you guys, they don't make stickers like they used to. It's sticky, but I'm adding glue. Every time I add a sticker, pretty much I'm adding glue just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And then the sentiment says with gratitude. And I'll add that with my temporary adhesive. So if I change my mind later and want to use the card for a different occasion, I can do that. So again, here's the same card design, and I'm just putting that 2 by 6 inch strip diagonally across. The pattern paper in this kit is 6 by 6, so this works really, really well. And then here's my 1/8 inch strips. And I just run that bead of glue right along the edge of the purple pattern paper. And then I lay the strip into it. I cut the strips from our A2 panels of solid colored cardstock. So those are an 1/8 inch by 5.5 inches, and it will fit across. I think that's where my kids scared me. I think that's where I threw the card. Anyway, so I left. I dealt with my kids. I came back. And now I am going to just add that again to my solid panel. She actually has her sentiment as sort of a strip along the bottom of that, like where that purple diagonal piece is. And that's what I might play with. I might make a video where I release an extra set of sentiments to go with this card sketch. I don't know. If I did just some like strip sentiments for that, let me know what you would like. They have this little wreath of flowers. I thought that was really pretty and a fun way to add an emergency sentiment. Again, if you don't have the kit, that's totally fine. The goal here is to show you how you might use supplies you have and get more sketches or templates for emergency cards. Okay, so here's this one, and I just put my 2-inch circle in the middle of that wreath, and I thought that was really fun. Okay, this piece of pattern paper is 4 by 3.5, and then I eyeballed it and cut diagonally, but on one side it's a 1/2 inch, and on the other side it's 1.5 inches. And again, I'm cheating a little. You could also just put a 2-inch strip of purple cardstock across a full panel of pattern paper, but I hoard the pattern paper in these kits. I have enough stuff left. I could probably make another 5 cards, but I've used up most of my favorites. This polka dot pattern I loved. So I was like, well, let's see if we can do just a smaller square, and we'll leave that diagonal piece. And this worked out beautifully. I love this, okay? So I'm adding that A2 purple panel to my pattern paper, or to my card base, sorry. And then there's this like film strip of images, and I'm gonna temporarily adhere that. I'm just using some like highlighter tape, and I'm gonna trim that. I don't actually want it there. I wanna scoot it over so it has that same margin on the right as the pattern paper, okay? And then I will glue that down, and it will just kind of run right through the middle of that section. I thought that was fun, and I'm gonna have my sentiment overlap that. There's a peace sign on the left, and I don't know, something, I'm here for peace, you guys, but something about the peace sign just says like hippies to me, and I don't know, it's not my favorite symbol, just aesthetically. I added this huge heart die cut piece to the top, and then some of the sequins, same ones that we made our shaker with, and that will just add a little bit of shine and fun to our card. And then this is going to say sending love. I thought that went really well with the hearts that are pretty prominent on here. And that finishes up another card. There's so many cards in this video, you guys. Sometimes I sit down with a kit and I struggle. I couldn't quit making with this one. Okay, the measurements on that strip are wrong. It's actually 2 by 5.5. And then this is 4.25 by 5.5. And we're gonna make another fun fold. So this is the card base from the kit. And I scored this at 2 1/8, just on the front panel, okay? So essentially I folded it in half. We're making a Z fold card. And I am gonna, I used my bone folder. I really pressed that flat because I don't like it when they sort of boing around and pop up. Is that just me? I don't know. There's an A2 piece of pattern paper here that I am adding to the inside of my card. This is a layering weight pattern paper, and so I can do that without affecting that fold in the middle, and I love it. I love that it gives sort of a fun pop of color on both the inside and the outside. I am adding this 2-inch strip to my 2 1/8 inch panel because, again, I loved that butterfly paper. And I was hoarding it. And so for me, the sweet spot is to cut a 2-inch strip and then a 4-inch strip. And I can get a card front out of it and then something like this. Again, I'm adding little 1/8-inch strips of purple solid colored cardstock just right along the edges. It'll cover up the rest of that white and it frames it out. You could use a 2 1/8 inch purple panel, but I was hoarding my cardstock. I just was. Okay, So the rainbow, I'm going to add just to that Z flap. So I'm adding glue only on half of it, and I will press that flat. And I've kind of grabbed the butterfly before I glue it down to make sure that it still has room up in that top right corner. And then my circle's 2 inches, and the sort of plaid is 2 1/8. So it fits beautifully right there. And then this is a gold foil heart that I'm going to add to the front. My sentiment for this one is my thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time. And I'm going to add that on there. If I decide to use this for something else later, I can just remove that. I will write my message on that white strip on the inside. And if I need more room, I can go on to the back. So here, these arches are some of my favorite dies from Spellbinders. It's the Essential Arches, and I've skipped, I think, the first 4. So this is 5 and 6. Again, those are on sale, right? If you're watching this way later than when it came out, sorry about that. But they've been going on sale more. I love the arches. I have a bunch of videos where I'm using these. And here, I just took 2 that were right next to each other, and I've got a slightly smaller piece of patterned paper on top of the larger arch, and then I will lay that into the center. You could do larger arches here. I'm going to end up adding some white pen details later because I feel like there's too much blue, too much empty space, and I don't know. I don't deal well with empty space. Let me know what kind of card maker are you? Is that okay for you? You're like, yes, I liked that space. I don't know why you filled it. There are puffy stickers. I haven't hardly used any of them. Because I use the emergency sentiments, I often don't use as many of the stickers because those are where your sentiments are. But they're there and they're awesome. I'm going to add a happy birthday here. I love the circle sentiment hanging slightly outside the arch, and it feels like you've got the same border, right? The same size border around the arch and around that circle. Here you can see where off camera I added a bunch, like a white pen border detail, because I just felt like it needed a little something. That pattern paper is 2 3/4 by 4. The yellow is 3 by 4 1/4. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And then this is my card base. We're going to make another fun fold. And I will be honest, this is the first card I made from this set, but I struggled with it so much that I was like, we can't start with that. We just can't. So I eyeballed this. I'm just chopping a corner off. But when I went to measure it, it was like 3 1/4 one way and 3 inches the other way. I just need, about a 3-inch triangle. And I'm laying the larger piece on there to find my borders, and then I'm going to temporarily adhere the small triangle so that it's lining up perfectly, as if I had put that all on there as a single piece. We are going to chop off most of the front of this card. So I'm using this yellow cardstock just to eyeball a line that would be the same distance as the margin that's on the other 2 sides of the triangle. And then here's where things get a little wonky. This would be much easier with a trimmer that has a sliding blade. I am cutting down the fold. I'm removing the fold just until I get to that pencil line. And then I want to cut along the pencil line, but I realized I couldn't figure out how to line it up. So I actually pulled it back out and continued the line onto the back of the card. It's a real light pencil line. I will erase it later. And I am going to cut just to the fold. Okay, again, if you have a sliding blade trimmer, that is much, much easier to do. And then I'm going to bring in my scissors and you guys, I almost quit and was like, let's make these cards tomorrow. I struggled so much. All I'm doing is cutting off everything on the front of the card except that little corner at the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to add my pattern paper, the larger piece, to the inside. And this is going to tuck into what's going to be our pocket a little bit, which I like. So I don't want anything catching on that pocket as it's coming in and out. So I'm making sure to get my glue kind of all the way up to the edges, and then I will just line that up, and you can see the border all the way around the outside of the card is the same, and then that border along the triangle on the inside is also the same. And then here I forgot that I had only temporarily adhered that. You could have glued that down to begin with. I was just afraid I was going to mess it up and want to move it. So I'm going to add my glue and I'm just going to press it down really carefully and no one will know that I crinkled it. I also added glue, as you saw, right along the bottom of the triangle. So it made a pocket. The bottom is glued to the back of the card. I'm adding my pattern paper onto the bright yellow rectangle, and that's going to be like a removable card that comes in and out of the pocket. If I had this to do over again, I would bring the glue slightly higher in the pocket because it's a little loose, okay? You can bring the glue up almost to where you want that removable card to sit, okay? I mean, you don't want to go all the way up, but pretty close. Then I've taken some of my chipboard stickers that say happy day. I'm just making sure they fit, and then I'll go ahead and glue those down. Again, they are sticky on the back, but not super sticky. And then I have my little sentiment overhangs that card just a little bit, but it's still inside of my A2 panel. I decided the pocket needed a little extra something, so I'm going to add one more chipboard sticker, this little flower that's in there. There's a bunch of flowers. There's so much stuff in this kit that I have not used. And then I'm going to add a sentiment that says happy birthday, right? I think it went really nice with that happy day. And I can pull that out and I can write on the back. The yellow's pretty light, so I didn't worry about being able to write on that, but you certainly could add, you know, some white cardstock on the back there if you like. So let's take one more look at our cards. Here's our first fun fold. That one might be my favorite. I want to know which of these is your favorite. This one is so simple with the essential floral reflections. Then the diamond shaker. I will link everything below. So those dies that I've used, but also all the kits. Check out the kits, you guys. They are amazing this month. We have these two cards using Call Me Crafty Al, Alicia's sheet load of cards, and I will absolutely link to her video below, along with the playlist for the emergency cards with all those free printables. We have our Fun Fold Z-Fold card. I will link to the favorites emergency card kit, since that's the one I used in all of these cards. And then we have one more Fun Fold where our little pocket card comes in and out. I hope you liked these. I have another video coming out on Saturday, another one on Sunday. I can't wait to see you there. Thank you for joining me.